it. Sara, you said the shutdown, ending the shutdown, was a matter of life and death. What did you mean?
Well, absolutely. There are critical functions that happen behind the people who are determined to be essential people, like Dan. And all of the work that happens behind those people preps them to be able to have the intelligence that they need to make good decisions about how to carry out their job. So safety inspectors, for example, were on furlough, and other civil service people that we count on for the layers of security that matter. The other thing that was a problem was that the training facilities were down, the planning programs were down, new initiatives, new technology that was being put in place to assist the air traffic controllers as they're making their decisions about where to tell planes to land and how not to interrupt travel with those planes trying to take off as they're coming in. Dan can talk about that much more eloquently. But when you have a government shutdown, it's really concerning that you don't have all the programs in place that support the safety professionals who are on the front line.
And Sara, just before we get to Dan, were you hearing from your flight attendants that they were seeing actual specific things, problems that were causing them safety concerns?
Flight attendants were very concerned because we know it takes layers of security, and the biggest thing that they were concerned about is our air traffic controllers who were going to work every single day, making sure that we were safe, but not having a paycheck in a high-stress job. Anyone can understand that that is a threat to safety in and of itself. For highly trained, highly certified, high medically required job where people have to retire at age 56. And so flight attendants know very well it's not a good idea to stress those people out further, and that's exactly what the shutdown did.
Yeah, so Dan, listen, it sends a shiver down my spine as someone who flies to think that air traffic controllers during those 35 days were not well rested, were concerned about paying bills, were stressed, but were, from where you sit, passengers' safety endangered during that time?
Well, it was getting worse as we move forward, and just based upon the things you brought up, the emotional state of the controllers, Thursday and Friday was among the worst I'd ever seen. And as we spoke last week, everyone has their breaking point, and I was concerned that breaking points of larger amounts of people were getting closer and closer. Since the announcement on Friday afternoon, the mood has improved immensely. People were able to go home, spend time with the families, get a couple good nights rest, and we're ready to get back to work as normal.
Yeah, I never want to hear the words air traffic controllers and breaking point in the same sentence. But, you know, Dan, you've pointed out that it's just, you can't just like flip a switch and everything goes back to normal. So after these 35 days, how do you get it back to, you know, a well-oiled machine? What's gone wrong? What has to happen today?
Well, that's something we've still got to figure out. So we'll work collaboratively with the FAA and other entities to find out what negative impacts may we have seen over 35 days of having the government shut down. We'll work to mitigate those quickly. Look, we got to get the FAA Academy open. We've got to get to hiring people. Here in Atlanta, we've got to come up with a plan to make sure the Super Bowl goes off without a hitch. So we've got a lot of work to do. But, you know, air traffic controllers make the impossible look mundane, so it's just another day at the office for us.
But do you have to retrain people? Have skills gotten rusty over 35 days?
No, as far as the controllers that are working the scopes right now, we won't need to train those. Now, as far as some modernization programs that we've been working on within the building, we'll have to retrain the entire workforce on some of those, just simply because they hadn't touched it so long.
Sara, I know that you and your association are trying to make sure this never happens again, but what can you do?
Well, we are going to work every single day to help people understand the really severe nature of this. I think this shutdown was the longest in U.S. history, more than twice as long. So we did get to that breaking point, and people got to see how dangerous it is when you shut down the federal government, who do incredible work that we don't see every single day. We have these amazing federal sector civil servants who make our government run. And when you shut that down, it interfaces with private business, and the whole thing starts to unravel. So in this case, with the airline industry, it was very obvious that if planes don't take off, my members don't have jobs, people don't get services to their communities, they're stranded in their communities, and our interstate commerce that we're so dependent upon doesn't doesn't flow. So this is very concerning, and we all know how impactful this was, how important it is that we keep the system going, that we help people understand that if you come to work for the federal government and do these key jobs, we're going to have your back. We're not going to put you in a situation where you have to worry that this is going to happen to you. We should never do this in this country. No other country would put up with it, and so we're going to work every single day to make it very clear that we won't put up with it for one more day.